Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome to Painterly Blending with no black in Chalk Pastel. My name is Diane and I'm excited to get going with you, so grab your materials and your cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is you'd like to have, and let's get to it. So before we crack into the good stuff, the drawing, the coloring, we're just going to walk through what materials we need, which are very brief. Will be very brief. We need a piece of paper suitable for chalk pastel, pencil, drawing pencil with an eraser or a separate eraser or whatever. You will need your reference photo. You can download and print this anywhere on the internet. Just Google Paul Cézanne still life with fruit dish, painted in 1879 to 1880, oil on canvas, and you'll see that information written on the bottom of your screen. So you can pause the video, search for it, print it out, and have this to copy. Just so you know, we're only going to be doing this peach right here as a sample of how to do some painterly blending just with the chalk pastel sticks. We're not going to be using our finger to blend or any blending tools at all. We're just going to be using the sticks to blend in this class. And lastly, you will need your chalk pastels. I have a large set. You can see you don't need a set this extensive, but the more you have, the less you have to kind of mix colors together to create the colors you want. So it depends on the experience you want. If you want to be kind of forced to blend colors, then a smaller set would work even better. If you prefer to just have the colors you need without mixing them together, then have a bigger set. Anyway, we can get on to the art part now. So grab your pencil. We're just going to draw that shape approximately. So it's obviously a little bit wider than it is tall. We want to fill up the page pretty nicely just so we have plenty of room to experiment with the color and blending. So let's say if I want the top of the peach there and the bottom there, and then I'm going to make it a little wider than it is tall. So we'll go out further. That might be a little too wide. Let me come in a little bit. It's a little lopsided, sort of hanging down to the right there. You don't have to be that exacting with the drawing. This class is not about drawing accuracy. However, you can if you want to. This class is about pastel blending. And then there's the characteristic line down the peach. So I'm going to say it starts pretty close to the top, kind of cuts down to the bottom. The roundness of this line should mimic the roundness of the edge somewhat. So you don't want it straight or somewhat straight. It'll make it look a little wonky and unpeach-like. Something like that is fine. And that's all we need to do with our pencil. So now you can start putting in a base layer of color. And for that, we're just going to go around the entire peach and put in the approximate colors we see. So we'll start with kind of a yellow color on the left side here. And first, just see how, I don't know if you can tell, my color is fairly dirty from sitting in the kit and from just using it next to another color before. So just kind of rub it clean if your colors are used before to make sure you're coloring nice clean color on your peach. Not that it really matters. As you can see, that was a little muddy. It would have been fine because my peach is also a little bit muddy. But it's always nice to start with a clean color. And color in the direction you see the strokes going here. So they're going mostly vertical, somewhat leaning to the right. And it is a round object, so it's a good idea to kind of follow the roundness of the edges. As you can see, I'm also coloring a large area of yellow, even though there's only a little bit of yellow on there, because this is a base layer. So we want to cover up all the white with something. And the lighter colors are good to use in abundance because they're easily dominated by the darker colors. So as you're layering, you'll put the lighter colors on more aggressively, and as you get darker and darker, you will get more conservative with those. So then I'm going to switch to kind of a rusty orangey red color and put that in where I see the reds and oranges up here on the left, kind of cutting down into the yellow. And this might be where you would normally use your finger to blend if you've used chalk pastel before. You kind of have the temptation to rub it in. You can do that, but I'm not doing that in this class because I want to show you how to blend just with the chalk pastel. The reason that's a nice thing to do, or it's a good effect, is it tends to, actually, it really doesn't matter. You can totally finger blend, but the more you blend with the chalk pastel, the kind of richer it feels to me, the richer the color feels. At the end of the day, you're covering up your base layer anyway, so it's kind of 6.5 dozen, but this is just another way of going about it. Now I'm going to find kind of an orangey yellow and fill in the bottom part here, kind of still going with those vertical strokes. And I should have put some rusty red on the right side of the peach, but I was too busy talking, so I spaced. But I'm going to put some of this yellowy orange here, where you see that light kind of reflection in the dark side, the shaded side of the peach. And I'm going to go back to the rusty red now, where I wanted to put some before and didn't. I really wanted to kind of fill out that right edge. And I'm leaving just a little sliver of white showing where the crack is so I don't lose it, but I will fill that in eventually. And I'm going to grab a little bit of kind of a lighter reddish orange and just put some of that where I see the brightest reds. And that's kind of good for our base layer, just really basic, really loose. You probably accumulated some dust, so you can take it and shake it off into the garbage can or blow it off if you're in a place where you don't mind getting pastel dust everywhere. And now we'll just go on and keep layering. So let's see. We need some lighter yellow. So I'm going to grab a lighter yellow and put it here. It doesn't show up very well, but the real point of doing this right here is to more to blend and enrich the color than to make it yellower, because it was already pretty yellow. And you can see I'm kind of going into the reds and now pulling the reds down, and it creates that painterly effect. And see, I got red on my pastel. So every time I put my pastel down, it gets a little red blotch. And in this case, I want that because I'm trying to replicate paintbrush strokes. So now we'll move into some browns. I'm going to start with a kind of a lighter golden brown and just put that down as a base on the right side for the darker brown. So that's going to mark where the crack in the peach is. And I'm also going to color it over to the right, kind of into the lighter gold color, but not entirely. I'm going to use that gold color to blend it a little bit more later. And let's see, I'm going to get some greens going. So I'll take the kind of a lighter sort of spring green, yellowy green, and put down some marks. Oops, that's not working very well. There we go. On the yellow here. That barely shows up, really. I'm not sure why. I guess it's a little waxy on the surface there, but it's working well on my scratch paper. So that one's not showing up. So I'm going to switch to a slightly different one and see if this works better. Oh, that's probably not going to show up just because it's so yellow. So that means I'm going to switch to my darker green, which is going to show up because it's darker. Let me get that going. Sometimes when pastels are older, like my set is older, they can form not a waxy exterior, but like a sort of shiny exterior on them just from sitting around for so long. And you have to kind of break through that by coloring so that they show up on your picture. I'm not sure why that happens. Must be some sort of chemical thing. Anyway, I got the dark green on there. And now I'm going to go in with some darker brown and put in the shadow along this crack edge here. So I'm coloring pretty hard and just in little tiny sketchy like motions, sort of vertical, but also kind of out to the side to mimic what I see in the picture. I'm going to put some here on the face of the red part and up here because it looks brown. But now I'm going to show you the trick to how to not use black. We're going to use, instead of black, we're using a blackish green. So you can see the difference between that and true black. So this is black, obviously it's ashy, it's dark. This is definitely just a dark green. Although before I put the black on, you might have thought, oh, that's black, before I smudged it too, because it's so dark. But the reason to use green instead of black is because it will add sort of a livelier effect to your peach. And I'm using green because green is opposite of red on the color wheel. So it will neutralize the red and red will neutralize the green. So they'll create a blackish sort of feel together, but without this deadening effect of black, true black. So I'm just going to use that in the very darkest places, all down that crack. Let me get some dust off so that it's easier to see where I'm putting it. So I kind of just put splotches of it all up and down there to make it very uneven. Put some up here in the darkest shadow. And then I'm going to go back and blend some. So I'm going to start blending with the original base color I had, the red up here. And just go right into that black green. And you can see what's happening is it's staying dark, but it's also becoming more of a brownish dark color because red and green neutralize each other. They will become kind of brownish or grayish depending on the ratio and the quality of each color. Like this is more of an orangey red, so it's going to be a warmer neutral, which is brown. It's not going to be gray. And I'm just going in and kind of putting in strokes, covering up all my little white spots. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, I probably need to go back over here with some more of that black green. I didn't get it quite dark enough, but I am using the red to pull the green over to the right and kind of spread it a little bit. Anywhere else? Not right now. I'm going to grab some of the lighter red and blend that lighter red into the brighter green I just put down here. Not much of this lighter red, just a little bit to kind of brighten the round top edge there. And like I said, I'm going to go back with the black green over here and just put a little bit more along the outside edge. And then go back with that rusty red to blend it more. Just wanted to deepen that a little bit. Then I'm going to come back over here with my original yellowy orange. By the way, this is in no particular order. You could easily be working over here too. I'm just sort of picking and choosing at this point. You do want to start with a base color and then go forward with basic colors, but then after that you can kind of jump around. And I'm using this to blend the edge of the black green here. And I'm going to go back with some of the brownish color here to sort of darken this inside right edge. And then I'm going to go back with the light yellow. Oops, that's not clean at all. And go back to the green and really press hard over the green because it's not going to lighten the green much. I guess it does a little bit because yellow is much lighter than green. So green is going to dominate. But what it is going to do is blend it and create that beautiful painterly texture. I'm going to blow off the dust again, or shake off the dust in this case, and just kind of look around. And I feel like this edge is too distinct. It's too sharp. So I'm going to go back with the brown and just kind of mess it up a little bit. Make it a little rougher. Make some of that shadow kind of leak out into the left side of the peach. Add some more brown up here, which isn't showing up a whole lot. I think I need more green. There we go. Dark, dark green to intensify that. And then red to blend more. Shake off the dust. A little bit more red down here. And then as for details, this is going to be the really fun part in my opinion. We're going to really intensify just a couple little areas of the crack to make it really look like it's split there. And we're going to add a highlight, and we're going to intensify the light red at the very top edge of this crack. And those three things are going to really make this peach. So now that you've got all your basic color in, we're just kind of emphasizing the details that are going to scream, I'm a peach. Something like that. Get rid of that dust and use the red to blend just a little bit, because we don't want to get rid of it. We just want to soften it so it doesn't look like it was just laid on top, which it was. But what we're doing is like kind of integrating it into the rest of the peach by just dabbing a little bit with the red. And then up here, we're going to use the light red to emphasize the highlight. So I'm pressing pretty hard and just brightening up that highlight from the left edge to the right edge. In doing so, I accidentally went over my dark green a little bit, so I'm going to put that back. And then over here, I'm going to use kind of a light ivory. You could also use plain white, but I'm going to just press really hard and try to emphasize the very brightest yellow, just by putting a few strokes of yellow there on the left side. And just kind of look around, see if there's anything else you want to do to experiment or play. And whenever you're done, you can be done. Thank you so much for joining me today.